those things and not get emotionally bent out of shape about it no more. Not be emotionally attached to it, because the whole time growing up, they do project a certain sense of how you're supposed to want to. I mean, the walking on eggshells analogy is excellent, because you're supposed to want to make them happy, because, oh, they're your parents, like, you want to keep me happy, right? Because I'm your parent, right? Like, why are you trying to, like, make me upset? Well, I'm your parent, I love you, I raised you, I did all this for you, blah, 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 blah. And the whole time, man, you can't, like, even though if you ask them, like, but you're doing this shit to me, like, you're provoking me. Like, what am I really supposed to do? Man, you provoke me, and then get mad because I get mad. Like, what the fuck? And essentially, that's all part of the entrapment. That's all part of the trauma bonding. And then you get to a certain point where eventually they share their little pity story of where they came from, and now, what, you're supposed to feel bad for them, and like now like feel completely like indebted to trying to help them recover from their emotions that they never dealt with? No. That's not what children are for. It's not what children are for. And man, if you got to be the black sheep and point that shit out to be like, no, we're not here to sit there and support you. Because, I mean, growing up, man, I was always told the analogy of, people have a farm and they'd have more kids to help take care of the farm. Well, that's cool. That works great in the early 1900s, the 1800s. But man, we are 1990, 2000, 2010. Like, man, what the fuck, man? We live in a modern world where we go to the grocery store and get our food every day. You go to work and you make money so that you can pay the bills and shit. You're not having to go out there and harvest food every once a month and plant seed and like sow and water, and like, that's not tend the cows. No, that's not life no more. So that excuse doesn't apply. And it's essentially them gaslighting themselves, because they were probably told the same type of shit growing up. And a lot of the gaslighting and projecting they put on you, they were projected on and told to them. And for whatever reason, this type of sick mentality of it is that, like, they get the pleasure out of seeing that you are in the same trap they are. Schadenfreude, man, I would call it it's the most demonic emotion out there. I would say it's worse than envy, it's worse than resentment. It's where, like, like the whole fact that you get off on watching other people suffer, people that get off on like torturing animals, people that get off on torturing kids, and like the fact that like that shit's sick. That's a completely sick emotion, man. There's plenty of times dealing with these narcissist type people, man. Sometimes it's a little hint, a little smirk in the face, a little, man, you see it. The fact that they try to hurt, man, you gotta watch that shit. Man, I don't let them hurt me. Matter of fact, man, they start pushing that shit on me, and they get that look in their eye where they're looking for a response from me. I just stare right back at them. What's up? I'm sorry you feel that way. You have every right to have that opinion. I have to. Oh, I'm the problem. Oh, you can leave. I don't need to have you in my life no more. Have a nice day. The problem is, man, they keep bringing you to, like, they keep sending invites for family gatherings, and everyone's sort of like trauma bonded into having to go to these type of things all the fucking time, and I don't know. I got to a certain point, it was like before I was 16, where I just kind of like was bored of going to all them things no more, because, man, we hang out and we don't do shit. We play a couple card games, and then I listen to you complain about what's going on in the world. I listen to you complain about what's going on in your life. I listen to you complain about this. Or I listen to the one person who learned how to make some money brag about how much money he's spending and how much money he's this, that, and the other and shit. And like, what the fuck? First off, money don't make you, like, successful. Honestly, any of the people making millions of dollars, I don't consider that successful unless you're happy. If you're living your life and you're happy, you enjoy it, like, you're, like, that's... But then when it comes down to it, man, I grew up being told, oh, we all wanted you to be happy, blah, 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 blah. Like, my parents just recently telling me they're so proud of me because blah, blah, blah. The man you've become. And I'm like, wow. Wow. See, when it comes down to, I've cut myself out of the scene, and then you only see me once or twice a year. place and seem to be well off in a sense from their standards. Now they're proud of me because I've become such a right. But then a couple of years ago, you were giving me death threats and telling me I was going to spend 10 years in prison because of yada 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 stupid shit I was doing. Getting all super emotional. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to press legal charges anyway. And you're telling me, no, I can't do that because I'm going to get killed or I'm going to get fucked with the cartel or blah, 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 blah. Still got my legal thing. As far as I'm concerned, it was worth it. And actually seeing their true colors in that moment, because really they only care about themselves. They only care about if it makes them feel good, or if what you're going to do is going to impact them in some sort of way. I mean, at the time, man, I wasn't attacking them with it. I was attacking my grandfather or my mom's biological dad, who she was adopted, so she didn't meet him until I was 10 years old. However, he was locked up in prison because he was a drug runner from Colombia up into the U.S. and made his millions doing that shit. So the fact that he could flash a bunch of money and talk about how fucking great he is, they latched onto that because, well, vanity. Man, essentially it's the same type of spirit as what they've got. I mean, I looked at it in complete disgust when this dude, I don't know, he invited me down so I could try to learn to fly and do a couple of things. So I mean, I took pilot lessons and learned to fly an airplane and managed to land, and I can fly a plane. I don't actually have a license and all that, but man, I can fly a plane, do solo runs, all that. If I absolutely have to, it can be done. Thanks to him, I got to a certain point where I realized this dude's going to catch me a federal case, and I left. And that's why I did not get my license. I realized if I actually completed it, got my license, you know what, I'd pretty much be locked into a certain emotional, Stockholm syndrome, to where I've got to, I've already got this much out of the situation. Man, that's the love bombing phase. They give you all these kind of treasures to kind of lock you in so that you feel emotionally indebted to them because, oh man, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have this. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have this. So what the fuck? Well, there's, in another sense, man, I even had that at the career place I worked at, man, the factory I went and worked at. They sent me to school after a few months of working with them. I mean, I was a temp when I started. They hired me in. They sent me to school for 2 years, and then the devaluation started about 6 months into that. And then I was just supposed to put up with the devaluation and shit. And it got to a certain point where I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to make a career out of this. So I got fired, 3-4 months ago? 4 months ago. A little over 4 months ago, beginning of March. And I ain't done shit since. I've been living. I've kind of thought about this. I've actually had this feeling I need to do this for quite a while, but there's been a lot of mental cogs that have needed to get out or get straightened through. Because locked in the repetitive rut type mentality, man, it wanes on you. And actually getting out of that, man, it is a transition. It needs to take you time. You need to actually, and honestly, the silence, the be able to get to know myself better, just been living with myself, man, it's been a blessing. It's such a blessing. And I thought it was a blessing the first time I left my narcissistic household and went to live in an apartment by myself and just paid those bills and but when I moved to my own place and lost the job, which was also another narcissistic nepotism environment. See, the thing is though, chosen ones, man, as you're going through this stuff, man, it's light workers, empaths, man, however, man, the reason why we keep get into these situations because ultimately the upbringing, we're used to it. So it's familiar to us, and the actual transition to people that are all healthy, we're not used to. So there is a certain type of self-sabotage that happens in the mind when it comes to getting into that situation. Because if the trauma event happened yesterday, you're probably not going to be ready for the healthy stuff tomorrow. That's the simple reality of it. You know what? It is very possible to overnight just be fixed. It's very, very possible. All glory to God in those situations. same time, like, it's the world at large. Man, the way we got social media going with YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and oh my God. The masses, the people, what's on their mind now? Oh my God, Lord, help us all. Because unfortunately, way too many of us grew up watching Disney being, it's just kids' movies, right, man? They're fully appropriate without realizing that there's full sex magic stuff happening in all of them. And what that puts the mind into, man, that keeps it in low-level vibrations, keeps it in low root chakra survival mode. The only things you're focused on is food, water, procreation. That's it. You're not focused on your heart, you're not focused on your solar plexus, you're not focused on your throat, you're not focused on your mind, you're not focused on trying to connect with God because of the type of magic that those elite people put in through Hollywood. And it affects society at large, and essentially that needs to get taken out and gone. And the prophecy type of stuff that's going on with it, man, I am most hopeful for it. I'm not excited for this kind of destruction type shit that may or may not be happening because, man, the world's going to be nasty ugly when it does. There's plenty of third world countries where that is, anarchy is the state of that place, and like gangs run it. There is no police force, there is no military, though gangs run that shit. And if we're at a point where our military can only focus on government buildings and such, and our police can only focus, I mean, that leaves so much other land in this nation. It's just open and available, man. I pray that that doesn't happen. I pray that there is a certain amount of stability that still exists in the future. Despite all the civil unrest and all that, I pray that there's a certain amount of infrastructure stability that exists while we tear down the cabal and the shadow people that be operating in this. Because, man, aliens and all that kind of stuff, extraterrestrials, yeah, there's a real sense to it. UFOs and such, yes, there's a very real sense to that. And the way that they influence society and the way that they influence our governments, and then it's been going on for years, since the 50s, easily. And essentially what they want to do, man, their whole goal is to enslave everybody. And if we are sovereign citizens, the way that this Constitution, the way that the United States was created to essentially establish every citizen to be, we are intended to be sovereign citizens where we can be free from government oppression, where we can live our lives and do what we wish. And that's part of the American dream, being free. And that's part of capitalism, is that if you go out and make a business and make millions of dollars, man, all power to you, run it, do it. If you want to sit at home and collect money, I mean, if you want to sit at home and not do shit all the time, man, that's your choice too. I mean, it's, to a certain degree, it's great that the government has social programs, but on another sense, like, there's way too many people I feel that are abusing it. That it would be better for them to, like, either grow up or get out. Get out's probably not the right term. But no, this country's most prosperous, man. There's plenty in the world for everybody to have more than enough. And the programming puts us all into a fear state of maybe there's not enough. Maybe there's not enough for me. I can't have 2 more mouths to feed. Oh no, I don't even have enough for... Dude, man, you put your faith in God. God will give you everything you need. If he's seriously going to put you in a situation where you got to bunker down for 6 months and not do shit, guess what? He's already got you covered on how you're going to get fed, how you're going to get water, how you're going to get your basic necessities. Maybe it meant you had to plan some stuff and you can bunker down your house. Maybe it meant he's going to uproot you and pull you somewhere else so that you can stay over here because you're a lot safer over there for his purpose. Joseph, man, his safest place, man, he was in a prison cell most of his life. He was in slavery, in a prison cell. And his brothers threw him in a hole, sold him away, and man, this dude sat there and that was the safest place for him because God needed to get him moved to a position to where now you're going to do this. You're going to rule it all. Because And that was probably the safest place for him, to be able to sit in that little hole and not have to worry about nothing, not have to worry about the people he's dealing with. He just focuses on God. So all them silences, man, I mean, it's kind of the end of lockdown now, but still take advantage of all that kind of stuff. Man, chosen ones, we serve the Most High. 144,000, man, we serve the Most High. And there's way too many New Age prosperity preaching where it just kind of teaches the idea of if we please man, then somehow we're going to get things that we need. And I see way too many people pushing attention on all these other piggybacking off of other men to try to like get their own success. And they claim God, but like, funny thing is, I'm about to go to one of these events to where I'm really kind of curious to see exactly what it is, because the messages do seem pretty solid. But I'd like to. You don't know until you go there for sure. Been to a few live events where actually I kind of got the grasp of it before I went to it and kind of realized what it was. And then I went there and realized it's exactly what it is. And I mean, it's discernment and such, man. Recognize the spirits of pride that overrule it. Recognize the spirits of And the world with this occult, man, it's essentially a pyramid scheme. You got like one or two dudes at the top that essentially like orchestrate everything. And you got the dudes in the middle that actually act as like the face, the camera pieces, the face pieces to sit there and like put on the show. And you got all your crew members down below to sit there and like make sure the events happen. And then you got all the consumers, the audience, that like buy into it. Man, if people can make a great business and contribute value to the world like that, I say all power to them. And truthfully, man, if you feel like something you find like that is valuable, man, go to it, learn it, because it is well worth investing in yourself. And truthfully, man, there's been thousands of dollars when it comes down to it, I look back, I pissed it away. But on another token, like, was it worth that experience for a few days? Probably. I know plenty of people, man, they'll go below thousands of dollars on a vacation and sit in a hotel somewhere, maybe go visit a museum or something. I mean, how much value? I mean, that's still, you're getting your money out of your experience, but I mean, I compare that to also going to learn stuff. Learn about real estate, learn about self-mastery, learn about money. Not in the sense, like, not necessarily how to make money, but man, learn how it works. Like, money is an instrument of value. It has no value of its own. It is an instrument of value. You put value out, you will get value. You will get, like, the world will pay you for it. I mean, the speakers, the motivational speakers who get up and they're worth 50 grand for an hour, man, that's worth it. Plenty of critics that'll sit there and say, like, man, like, that's just way too much, man. And as far as I'm concerned, man, if that's what they're worth because of the industry they're in, man, pay that. It's well worth that shit. Because I'm sure whoever they're speaking to, they're getting their worth out of it. And you can listen to motivational YouTube videos all day long, but I mean, this is completely different than going to the event and listening to these people speak, because then you feel the energy in the room, the vibrations. Listening to the video on this is completely different than if you were sitting and having a conversation with one person, the person that's able to talk about this kind of stuff. And perhaps I created a little bit of confusion, but trust me, it all does wrap together. What's going to be on this channel, it does all wrap together. I assure you, we are more than a conqueror. And the Lord's on our side, and man, even if we're thrown into a pit and we're sent off to the slavers, and then we're wrongly convicted and we're thrown into this other situation, and like, man, like, the Lord's got us covered. Trust that. Believe that. Have faith in that. Because faith is big as a mustard seed. And also recognize that what this world puts out, man, cameras, man, it's so easy to make some little fake something. Make stuff look a certain way just by camera angles and depth perception. So easy. So, have discernment. and really pay attention to a lot of stuff, because I can tell you right now, NASA, it's a lot of hogwash. SpaceX, Tesla, all that kind of stuff, I feel that's also a lot of hogwash. I think that's just all a lot of propaganda to kind of keep pushing this idea that outer space exists and that we're going to have our divine creators from the alien species come forth and make themselves known and start telling us that they created us, rather than God creating us. God created them, yes. But at the same time, I feel like there's a push to, they put their DNA into us. And man, yes, that's true, but man, that's spoken about as Nephilim. Enoch and Genesis speak about that as Nephilim. The sons of God came down and took upon them wives, and they begot children among them. Nephilim, the giants of old. And if we've got like Anunnaki, Palladians, if we've got Arcturians, Syrians, man, a lot of that stuff I hear, I don't know, like, truthfully, I would like to know the truth on it. From a spirit source, like, what it, like, I mean, are they all evil, or is there some good ones? I mean, truthfully, like what? I mean, could certain ones represent angelic beings, or actually be angelic beings? Back then they just called them angels, and now we actually have a specific race name for them. Is that possible? But then I hear like stories of Atlantis and Lemuria and all that kind of stuff, and man, is that possible? And that the world is a lot more than what we expect, because I mean, you could look up Tartary. It's a nation that existed in, I believe 1850s is when that was demolished or dissolved. That existed in like what is currently Ukraine, Western Russia, Austria. That region apparently was Tartaria. Country I've never heard of until recently. And then certain mud floods that happen around the world. And then I saw this picture of this tower in, I believe it was Korea. It's completely like half submerged in mud, man. The tower goes up like this. It kind of arches down, goes up like this. That's a cool tower. Now it's completely unburied. They got all the mud out, but like then it half submerged. So we constructed that tower within this civilization time span. Because assuming there was a global flood, man, there's plenty of like. Assuming there was a global flood, no, we have plenty of evidence there was a global flood. You got your. You got seashells on the top of Mount Everest. You got whale bones out in the middle of the desert, out in Chile, out in Arizona. You got dinosaur boneyards all over. Like big mass gatherings of all sorts of creatures got together, and this is where they ended up trying to stay and survive. And clearly they didn't. They all died together. But yeah, they were trying to escape from something massive. It just suddenly happened. Pull up all the evidence for it, man. There's plenty of people who talk about this. The evidence is out there, man. The evidence is also out there for like the elongated skulls and them kind of alien things running around with little pixies. Little alien-looking creatures, like little itty-bitty fuckers that like run around. They got little tails and shit, and they look like little tiny monkeys or something, but they got the elongated skull, nasty little gremlin fucker-looking things. And we have skeletons of these things. I mean, we have proof of them. Like, they exist. And then we have UFO disclosures happening, and I don't know, I feel like much of it's going to be too much of a, what is it, Project Bluebeam? A lot of that's going to be, it's going to be a massive deception here coming soon, man. We're just getting started, man. End times is just starting. Whether we're in the tribulation or not, I'm not sure. There's specifically the time span, man. There's people that talk about the time spans of it, 3.5 years of this, 3.5 years of that, and then we'll see the third temple rebuilt. Man, there's a couple key events I'm looking for, and that's Damascus being destroyed. That's the third temple being rebuilt. Man, we're already already seeing plenty of earthquakes and floodings and famines, pestilences, droughts. Man, we're seeing plenty of that kind of stuff already. But the specific two key events. As far as the temple being ready, man, we've already have the red heifer. They already have that. I've seen footage of that. Right now, it's being stored in an undisclosed location, but essentially that's meant to be the sacrifice for the third temple when they reopen that. I don't know. No matter what, their building of the third temple is going to be straight antichrist spirit, straight demonic, straight from the depths of hell. But essentially it's supposed to happen. So when I see people freaking out in fear because of all this sort of this and that, what happened yesterday and what happened last week, and oh no, what's going to happen tomorrow? Dude. If you want to think of time in a line, God stands outside of that, looks down on it, and already knows what's all going to happen, man. It's written. How about you read the book? Realize all this shit's going to happen. It's going to get worse. There's going to be more Christian persecution. There's going to be, you got to get the mark. You got to get the mark. No one will buy or sell unless you got the mark, man. It's going to keep going up, man. No matter how much we want to sit there and try to act like but essentially it's supposed to get that way so that we can finally, because Christ will return and rule this earth for a millennia with his chosen bride. They will rule the earth. We're going to see the greatest transference of wealth we've ever known, that we've ever seen. And it's going to be amazing. Because finally, all those corrupt people that stole everything through lies, deceit, deception, through the false financial systems of the world, we're going to see all that just dissolve away. We're going to have a new world order. We're going to have a new world currency. We're going to have a one world religion. And essentially, I feel like New Age is pushing that new world religion. And the idea is we're all worshiping the same God, but truthfully we're not, because Islam is worshiping a different God. Buddhism and Hinduism, and they're polytheistic. They believe in multiple gods. Buddha, actually, I take that back. Buddha is more of a spiritual Zen teacher, sort of getting on like people who get lost in philosophy. Now there's plenty of what I would say good, beneficial wisdom to what they're saying, but essentially, man, it's vanity if there is no God, if you're not giving credit to God, if you're not giving credit to the Most High, man, the creator of the heavens and the earth. Why do we got way too many people worshiping the creation and not the creator? When you have a God of the sun, you have a God of the moon, you have a God of the ocean, you have a God of the sea, you have a God of, like, for real, God of lightning, God of thunder, man, all that stuff. And all the clashes in heaven and all that kind of stuff, man, it's... Demons are real, angels are real. Money is fake. Man, look at how much money they printed out of nothing the past, year. For real, just billions, just out of thin air. Now we have all this money. Money's fake. It's a thought, it's an imagination, man. Value is real. Value is most real. Angels and demons are real. Spiritual forces that exist. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, of heavenly places. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty in the pulling down strongholds. Man, chosen ones, and man, you grew up in these kind of environments where I'm going to keep dealing with all sorts of narcissistic people. I'd like to believe there's a soul in there that can be saved, can be reached. But man, God does that on His time with every person individually. So about the best I can say is, man, focus on yourself. Focus on what you need to have done in your own life for your own spiritual growth and development. Have a relationship with the Most High. Have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Because, man, there's a certain part that kind of gets to me a little shaky when I hear it, and but I am God. I have a piece of the soul, the Creator, within me, and you have a piece of the Creator, a soul inside of you.